Hey folks, welcome to our next exit. Good news, August is come and gone. September's here, the kids are back in school. The campgrounds are returned back to the old folks, so it's our time of the year. As most of you know, we do a monthly expense report every month, and we put in all of our expenses, everything we pay out during the month, to kind of give you a baseline of some numbers to help you to start a budget if you decide to try this full-time RV lifestyle. To give you a little background, Pearl and I, we travel the country in a 42-foot Class A motorhome. We belong to 1,000 Trails, which is a campground membership club. And if you're not familiar with 1,000 Trails, I'll put a link up here for a video we did kind of describing our membership and how it works. And then it consists of about 80 campgrounds, and then you can buy an add-on called Trails Collection, another 100 and something campgrounds. And then we use RPI, that's another couple hundred campgrounds. And all those are located around the country. I'll put another link up here for a video we did that shows you how to import these different campgrounds into your Google Maps if you want to try that. So watch those videos and you'll know more about 1,000 Trails. Just as a side note, we have zero debt. Before we retired from work, we paid all of our bills off. We purchased our motorhome, got our motorhome paid for, the car paid for, our 1,000 Trails membership cost about $4,000, that's paid for. So there's nothing in the spreadsheet anywhere about any of those expenses. We have no credit card debt, so there's nothing in there for credit cards or credit card interest or any of that stuff. The one big mistake we did is we did not get rid of any of our stuff. We stored it all in a couple of storage units in Las Vegas, and that cost us about $3,500 a year. There's nothing in here for that. There's nothing in here for anything we give away to charity or gifts or grandkids or any of that kind of stuff. It's every penny we spend, cash or credit card or whatever, but nothing for gifts, charity, or our storage units. Everything else is in here. As you can see, the spreadsheet has got 3 columns. The first column here is just the total of the last 12 months, everything we spent for the last 12 months. And then the next column is our monthly average, so that's the total just divided by 12. And we've been doing this lifestyle for 27 months. And this last column is our totals for the whole 27 months divided by 27 to give you our monthly average since we've been doing the full-time RV lifestyle. One of the main reasons we added that last column is we had in March, I believe it was, February or March, we had a $10,000 maintenance bill that just made the whole expense report budget concept kind of wonker-jawed. So we're averaging that out for the life of our adventure. There's a total of about $22,000 for including that maintenance thing, the expenses we spend on YouTube for cameras and drones and that kind of stuff. And then we've had 2 or 3 problems with our car. I set my emergency brake, my auxiliary brakes, for when I towed the car. I had it set wrong and I burned up our brakes. We had the front end out of a line. We burned through a bunch of tires on the car. All that adds up to about $2,200 bucks. And when you're looking at these numbers for the total, that's about $800 a month for the life of that's about $800 a month stretched out over the 27 months of our adventure. So it would be down substantially if I didn't make so many stupid mistakes, if we didn't have a YouTube account, and if we hadn't took our coach to Lazy Days. Those things may or may not affect you. You may have some of the same goof ups in your RV adventure, so don't take all that stuff totally out. Just realize that it's in there, and I'll show you a list of it here at the end. We keep track of on this column, our fuel cost each month, and then we divide it by the number of days of the month to see roughly what do we average per day for fuel costs. And then we do the same thing for our campsite fees. That's just a little something that we like to track. That pretty much covers how the spreadsheet works. And then we have about a dozen line items of our expenses. Everything's put into these separate line items. We, just so you know, our cash, everything we do, we track through Quicken. Then at the end of the month, that gives us a total. We import that into an Excel spreadsheet, and that's what we've got here. So let's go ahead and get into the numbers. The month of August we drove 291 miles. We moved 2 times. We started out at Whaler's Rest. Then we moved over to, and at Whaler's Rest we stayed in 2 different campsites. The first one we didn't have internet, so we moved to another section of the park and we got great internet. Was there a couple of weeks and we went to Mount Hood Village, and we stayed in Mount Hood Village we've been here twice this summer. I think we were here 2 weeks this time, and then we went up to Chehalis, up by where our grandkids are at. So we drove 290 miles. We moved 2 times the month of August. So we spent the whole 31 days in Thousand Trails or Trails Collection campgrounds, and there's no cost associated with those campgrounds for us. So 0 campground expenses. And let's get into the numbers for the report. So as you can see here, we spent 0 for diesel. We only went like 160 miles this month. We still got a half a tank, and we spent 0 for diesel. Maybe it'll be 0 next month. That'd be great. We spent $4,000 so far this year on diesel fuel, and that averages to $338 a month. And for the whole 27 months we've been doing this, $350 a month for diesel. Up here you can see that's $11.10 for the last 12 months. $11.10 a day for the last 12 months we've averaged spending. And for the 27 months, it's $11.52 a day we spent for diesel. Campgrounds, as I mentioned, we stayed in the Thousand Trails or Trails Collection campgrounds all month. And so we didn't have any daily campground fees, but we do have annual dues that we have to pay. And it's $617 for our Thousand Trails a year. And it's, I believe it's $217. I think I need to update this. They raised it, I noticed, for Trails Collection a year, and then $150 for RPI a year. We add all 3 of those up, and then divide by 12. That gives us $80 a month for annual dues, and we just put $80 in each month's budget. And for campgrounds, we've averaged $10.74 for the last 12 months, and that's up mainly because of the 10 days or so we spent down in the Keys and then in the Miami Everglades. We had to pay the Miami Everglades we got for $20 a night. That's through the Trails Collection, and we were there like 2 or 3 weeks in total. And then it was like $160 something for the Sunshine Keys a night. We had a beautiful spot right on the beach, had our kayaks pull right up in the sand in the front yard. It was just lovely. And then another key that we stayed at was like $104 for a few days. So campgrounds since we've been doing this year, $10.74, but since we've been doing it with our Thousand Trails, we've averaged like $8.50 a day. And that's mostly our dues. And then when we go outside, like the Niagara Falls, or when we was up at Maine on the Atlantic Ocean, we got another great campsite. So we're pretty happy with that number. Motorhome repairs is $88. We've spent $15,000 so far this year. The last 12 months. The monthly average is $1,268, I think. And that, as I mentioned, is mostly for the $10,000 we spent at Lazy Days. And I'll put a link up here. We've got 5 videos on that whole experience. It was, it's more entertaining now than it was then, but that's quite an entertaining story. And then for the 27 months, it's $800 a month we spent on motorhome repairs. I would think, depending on the age of your RV and with the type, a couple $100 a month up to like $500 a month would probably be a plenty good range for most anybody. We've just had a tough hit. Some of it's our fault, some of it's Lazy Days' fault. But that's something you got to figure out on your own, is what kind of maintenance expense you think you should budget. And that's an important one because it can get pretty big. Auto and gas, that's $103. That's simply gasoline driving around, sightseeing and going to the store. $2,350 we spent the last 12 months, averaging almost $200 a month. And then since we've been on this excursion is $220. So this year we've averaged, the last 12 months we've averaged right at 200, but for the 27 months we've been doing it, it's like 2,200 for auto gas, and that counts repairs, that counts our license plates. We've had to buy like 7 tires, I think, had the front end aligned twice. You can look back through, as I mentioned, this here counts the whole since we started. And there's a pretty big one. 3 tires, car wash. So that covers the car. And then insurance, we have $1,500 for the RV, for our full-time RV insurance for our motorhome. $800 a year for insurance on our car, and then we have $1 million umbrella policy that's almost $300. And we add all those up, divide by 12, and stick $223 a month in our insurance. Dining out, that includes everything that we buy at the grocery store. So that's food, that's liquor, that's paper supplies, that's if we buy dog food at the grocery store, which is where we usually buy it, counts that. Anything we buy in a grocery store goes into this line item. So it's a pretty big number for us, but it's just realize it's not all food. It's just all kind of stuff. We spend $11,000 the last 12 months. That average, we've been averaging $920. And then for the year, we're at $880. So right at $900 a month is what we spend for groceries, paper products. Anything else? That's Pearl.
I can't think of anything.
Okay. So everything that we buy at the store goes in there. Dining out, $337. We averaged $311. We're averaging $311 the last 12 months, and then $270 since we've been on the road. And that's just dining out is dining out.
Toiletries goes into that other grocery.
Cell phone and internet. We have one jetpack that's unlimited plan that we pay $65 a month. We're with Verizon. Then we have another jetpack that has 15 gigabytes of internet, and then our 2 cell phones. And those 2 cell phones and that other jetpack is like 160. So all that together for our cell phones and internet, $215. And that gets us pretty good. At some of these campgrounds here in the Pacific Northwest, we've had a real hard time with our Verizon, and we went and bought us a directional antenna. And if we've got just a real light signal, but some kind of signal, we put up the directional antenna. We've only put it up 2 or 3 times, and then you turn it around till you hone in on that exact cell tower, and we can generally stream YouTube or surf the internet, whatever we need to do with that directional antenna. It works pretty good, but we only use it occasionally when we're really have a bad cell service. And we bought it last month, I think it was like $60, and then we had to buy some cable, another $20 or $30. DirecTV, we were paying like, what was it, $65? We were paying DirecTV, we were paying like $65, and we had some kind of special we'd got a year ago. That went away last month and jumped up to $80-something. And for some reason this month it jumped up to $97. We never rent movies or nothing. So I'm not sure what that is. I'm gonna have to call them and find out what's going on. because that's too much. Medical, we our Part B Medicare is like $135 a piece. Our Part D for our prescription drugs is $30 a piece, and then we have a Plan G. Both of us do, and Pearl's is $115. Mine's $122 for our Medigap, what Medicare doesn't cover, and then we had to pick up a few prescriptions this month, $30-something. So all of our insurance, we add all those numbers up and then divide by 12, that's like $560, and then we had this month about $30 in prescriptions. Pearl had to go and have a bunch of blood work done to, double check, make sure her prescriptions, if they needed to be adjusted. And so she just went to one of the community, and she's done this twice now, just the local 24-hour medical clinics, and go in and get a doctor, and they check her out, they order her blood work, easy peasy, Medicare, and our Plan G pays for the whole thing, and then go get some prescription. So it's working pretty good. That Plan G, I think we'd recommend that. It's a little pricey, but it works good. Pet care, as I mentioned last time, Tinker needed to get a haircut. She still needs a haircut, almost as bad as I do. And we've got shears and stuff. We're either going to have to do it ourselves or find somebody. But 0 on pet care. Recreation and hobby, just kind of piddling around. We blew through $150, and I'm not really sure how we did that, but we did it. So I'm sure it was well worth it. Yeah, a lot of fun things to do here in Oregon and Washington. Computer, zippity doo dah. I'm thinking about getting me a smartwatch. If I do, I'll probably stick that in computer next month. Clothing's been $35, just some odds and ends for me. And you think you got enough that'll last forever, but stuff does wear out. Mail is 0. We have our mail sent to our grandson's house, and then he forwards it to us. But everything we've been able to do, just scan over the internet and then shred it. So we didn't have to have anything sent this month. So our totals, $2,771. That's a good month. If we can get under $3,000, that's really a good month for us. And we think we may have, if cross our fingers, if nothing crazy happens, we will have a couple of months like this where we're just in Thousand Trails and no maintenance. $89 a day is what it's costing us. So this year, with these numbers down here at the bottom in red, this is everything, all of our YouTube, our maintenance and everything. $58,706 the last 12 months is what we spent. That average is just under $5,000. It's $48.92 a month for our expenses. And then since we've been on the road, we've been averaging $4,237, and annualized that would be $50,800. So that's a little higher than we thought it would be when we first went on the road, but it's probably, doesn't been doing it a while, that's kind of where we're going to end up, and that takes care of a lot of bumps in the road, burning through our maintenance, spending our maintenance money, spending our some of our emergency funds. And as I mentioned, and this is not everything, but it's things that probably most people are not going to hit into. You're not going to have a YouTube channel and be buying $1,500 drones and $1,000 cameras. And your front end's not going to get knocked out of line. That's something you do have to watch for. Towing a car and hitting a chug hole. You may think, oh, that wasn't too bad, but back in your car, it may be, a real bump and knocking it out of line. And I think we did that a few times without realizing it. And we had it aligned like 3 different times, but the last time it finally took, and we hadn't had to buy any tires in well over a year. Batteries, we've had to buy new batteries for the coach, had to buy new batteries for the car. We burned up the brakes. We had the auxiliary brakes set too tight on the car, and I left the car running to charge up the battery while we was towing it, and that really messes up. You can't do that. Don't do that. So anyway, that's just expenses we had that hopefully you won't have, and you can take a lot of that out. That's almost, well, and that's almost $10,000 a year that you could take off of our expenses. $820 a month, or $9,800 in 12 months. So you could take off $800 a month, or basically $10. That gets us right down around that $40,000 number, which, I mean, everybody's going to have emergencies. You're going to have stuff. And you may have your hobbies and your things that you spend money on. If you're going charter fishing or golfing all the time, you may have some of those same kind of things. But just know that there's some extra stuff in here. That there's some fat in there, in other words. So that pretty much covers it. And since we've been on the road, if we took all this stuff out and didn't do that, $41,000 is what we would have averaged in a 12-month period, which is pretty good. That's kind of where we thought we would be, and we took out, and we realized pretty quick we wasn't going to be. But between $40,000 and $50,000 is a number that's definitely doable, and that's staying with full hookups every night, boondocking maybe a dozen times on our whole 2-year adventure. So we don't do a lot of boondocking. We generally have all hookups. It's 1,000 trails is what makes the whole lifestyle possible. So that's it. I hope that the numbers helped you a little bit. Like I said, if you want a copy of this spreadsheet, here's our email address. It's bobrpearl@gmail.com. Shoot us an email, and then we'll reply back with a copy of the spreadsheet. If you want the data files to import into your Google Maps, same thing, shoot us an email. And if you look at our YouTube homepage, channel page, our whole channel is about retirement and the RV lifestyle. So we've got playlists on all kind of stuff, interviewing quite a few folks that are either full-timing or thinking about full-timing. And then we got stuff on Medicare and Social Security. And we have the whole playlist on our experience with Lazy Days. There's a number of things down here, and then a couple of videos on 1,000 Trails. If you're interested in any of that stuff, scroll down and look at it and watch the videos. And several of you have been using our Amazon link right over here. If you just click on that button, it'll take you straight to Amazon. You order whatever you want to order. It don't cost you anything extra, but they send us a little small percentages of 2 to 8% or something like that, and it's just a neat little thing. We appreciate it. But that's about all we got. Hopefully you enjoyed the numbers, and until we see you next month, keep the wheels rolling, stay safe. We'll see you at the next exit. So long, folks.